For years, we were fed a lie. We watched The Boys under the comfortable illusion that this was a story about monsters and the broken men trying to stop them. We cheered for Billy Butcher. We justified his black market cruelty because we utterly despised Homelander's God complex. But the tragic truth of The Boys series finale isn't that Homelander was a psychopath. We already knew that. The real horror, the ultimate dark twist of this entire story, is the tragic hypocrisy of Billy Butcher. The man who dedicated his entire existence to eradicating soups because they were uncontrollable, self-righteous monsters, became the most dangerous, self-righteous monster of them all. He didn't save the world from gods. He just became a god with a British accent and a grudge. To understand the depth of Butcher's hypocrisy, we have to look at the Sympathy Trap. Eric Kripke and the writers did something brilliant. They used Butcher's grief as a bulletproof shield. Every time Butcher tortured a soup, every time he used Huey as psychological bait, we forgave him. Why? Because we whispered to ourselves, he's doing this for Becca. He's doing this out of love. But love was just the virus's first mutation. In the final season, the veil is completely ripped away. The hallucinations of Becca aren't just a dying man's subconscious. They are the final remnants of his humanity, trying to fight off a terminal moral cancer. And what does Butcher do? He suffocates her. He chooses Joe Kessler. He chooses the genocide virus. Think about the absolute irony here. Butcher spent 4 seasons arguing that Vought's biggest sin was creating beings who thought they were above the law. Beings who decided who lives and who dies based on pure ego. In the finale, Butcher does exactly that. He decides, unilaterally, that an entire subspecies of human beings, including innocent children, including Annie, including Kimiko, deserve to be wiped off the face of the earth. He became Vought. He became the corporate Dodd he hated, stripped of the marketing budget and the corporate smile. If you want the ultimate proof of Butcher's hypocrisy, look at his mind. In the final season, Butcher and Homelander suffer from the exact same psychological disease. They are both talking to ghosts. Homelander talks to the cold, cruel corporate version of himself in the mirror. Butcher talks to Joe Kessler, the manifestation of his dark, genocidal id. Think about how terrifying this parallel is. Homelander isolated himself from humanity because he felt superior. Butcher isolated himself from the boys because he believed his rage made him superior. When Butcher lets Kessler take the wheel, he is making the exact same choice Homelander makes every single day. He is saying, my trauma is more important than the laws of mankind. They aren't enemies anymore. They are two sides of the exact same coin, fighting over who gets to burn the world first. Let's talk about the biological manifestation of his hypocrisy. The tumor, the sentient, soup-killing cancer inside him, isn't just a cool sci-fi plot device. It is a literal manifestation of Butcher's hatred. It's the ultimate narrative poetry. Butcher hated V24 and Compound V so much, yet his body literally weaponized it to create tentacles of pure destruction. Look at the Victoria Neuman scene. The boys had a plan, a political, stable, human plan to stop the madness. Neuman was ready to cooperate. The human way was working. But human solutions require patience, diplomacy, and ego reduction. Butcher has none of those. When those tentacles burst from his chest, it wasn't a tactical decision. It was pure, unadulterated hypocrisy. He ripped apart the only political leverage they had, not because it was the right thing to do, but because Billy Butcher cannot exist in a world where he isn't the apex predator. He didn't kill Neuman to save humanity. He killed her because he couldn't stand the idea of a soup outsmarting him. But if you want to see where the hypocrisy completely rots his soul, look at Ryan. Ryan was Becca's dying wish. He was supposed to be the line Butcher would never cross. Butcher swore to protect him, to raise him to be better than Homelander. But how can you save a child when you look at him and only see the blood of his biological father? Butcher's relationship with Ryan wasn't about redemption. It was about possession. He wanted to weaponize Ryan against Homelander. And when Ryan proved to be human, flawed, scared, and uncontrollable, Butcher gave up on the boy and reached for the virus. He was willing to let Ryan die in a global genocide just to ensure Homelander died with him. That isn't a protector. That's a monster, throwing away a broken toy. To truly understand how far Butcher fell, we have to look at the shadow of Soldier Boy. Remember Season 3? Butcher despised Soldier Boy. He saw him as an outdated, toxic, abusive relic of Vaught's past. A man who ruined lives and called it patriotism. But look at Butcher in the series finale. He inherits the exact same toxic trauma. He becomes the abusive father figure to Huey that Soldier Boy was to Homelander. Butcher uses the exact same justification. I'm doing the hard choices so you don't have to. It's the ultimate hypocritical loop. Butcher thought he was breaking the wheel of Vaught's toxic legacy, but instead, he became its newest driver. He didn't cure the disease of toxic power. He just became a new strain of the infection. The final layer of Butcher's hypocrisy is his adoption of the Vought method. What's the Vought method? It's lying, gaslighting, and keeping everyone in the dark to control the narrative. Butcher spent years mocking Vaught's public relations and their fake promises. Yet look at how he runs his war. He keeps the virus a secret. He lies to his team about his health. He manipulates the people who trust him, using the exact same calculated secrecy that Stan Edgar used to run a multi-billion-dollar empire. Butcher weaponized the trust of the boys, just as Vought weaponized the loyalty of the public. He proved that you don't need a corporate tower to be a corrupt CEO. You just need enough secrets and zero conscience. The darkest victim of Butcher's hypocrisy isn't Homelander, Ryan, or Neuman. It's Huey Campbell. From day one, Huey was Butcher's self-constructed morality mirror. Butcher kept Huey around to prove to himself that he still had a soul. But in the finale, the mirror shatters. Huey stands before him, begging for humanity, begging for the cycle of blood to stop. And what does Butcher do? He walks over his own family. For those who know the original comic books by Garth Ennis, this hypocrisy is even more clinical. In the comics, Butcher systematically murders the entire team, Frenchie, Mother's Milk, and Kimiko, because they stand between him and his genocidal goal. The show gave us a more cinematic version, but the psychological core remains identical. Butcher treats the people who loved him as collateral damage. Homelander demands worship. Butcher demands obedience. In the dark universe of the boys, those two things are a death sentence. In the final frames of The Boys, we are left with a bitter taste. The series finale didn't give us a grand heroic sacrifice. It gave us a clinical autopsy of a broken man. Billy Butcher died the exact way he lived, blinded by a rage so consuming that he couldn't see he had become the very virus he swore to destroy. He wanted to save the world from monsters, but he forgot the oldest rule of the abyss. When you fight gods, you either die a human or you live long enough to watch tentacles rip through your own chest. Homelander was a monster created by a laboratory, but Billy Butcher, he was a monster created by his own choices, and that makes his tragedy infinitely worse. He lied to Becca, he failed Ryan, he betrayed Huey, but worst of all, he made us believe he was the hero. Welcome to DramaCrypt. If you survive this dark breakdown, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and tell me in the comments below, did Butcher deserve a better ending, or did he finally become exactly what he deserved? See you in the next dark chapter.